RM's album has arrived. I just gotta say, how lucky are we? Collectively, are we even over Jack in the Box? I'm not. I still haven't come down from the masterpiece that is that album, that I certainly hope by the end of the year gets its recognition as one of the best projects to drop this year, point blank period, from any genre. But we are here for RM's Indigo, which I cannot wait to get into. I literally just got off of listening to his interview with Zach Sang. Tremendous interview, tremendous insight into RM, his mindset, writing this album. And you know, interestingly enough, I was gonna listen to Mono first, do a video for that, and then I was gonna do a video for Indigo either a day after that or a couple days after that. But I thought it was interesting to hear RM say that he feels disconnected, so to speak, from a few songs on Mono. I'm still gonna listen to Mono, but I want to get straight into this. Especially fresh off of listening to RM talk about this project here. What sort of spoke about it as if it's a diary. Learned about the inspiration from the Korean painter and artist that heavily inspired this album, along with, again, just the sort of diary feel that RM mentioned in that interview. And I'm sure by the time I put this video out, the video versions of that interview will be out. I listened to just the audio. I cannot enough recommend that interview. Zach did a tremendous job with RM, and RM did a tremendous job eloquating himself and the process of making this album. So yeah, guys, like I said, I've listened to him speak a little bit. It's got me extra excited. I've heard some wildly high praise about this thing. It's only been out for a few days now. My favorite thing about RM is his honesty. There's this honest, authentic feel to him. Every time he speaks, every time he raps, just everything lyrically that comes from him. So I'm expecting to feel a lot of that in this project, and I cannot wait to just absorb all this authenticity, guys. As always, my full uncut reaction to this album is on my Patreon. The link's down below. And I have to mention, speaking of that, you guys watching this on Patreon, I've gotten obviously like tons and tons of custom requests that we do on there, and I've been introduced to so many K-pop, Korean artists, Japanese artists, just a lot of new artists, and not just those artists, but tons and tons and tons of artists. But I point that out because there's a lot of artists that are featured on this album that I haven't even heard of, that haven't popped up in those custom requests, that just names that I'm unfamiliar with. That's really exciting because I get to learn more about RM. And in the interview again with Zach Sang, he mentioned that the people he collaborated with sort of built him as a musician. Like they're inspirations to him, to such an extreme. So I'm really excited to see who inspires him and to learn more of these names that I've never heard of. None of them, except for, of course, Erykah Badu and Anderson .Paak. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm sure I'm not the only one to say this, obviously, but the fact that he has Erykah Badu on his album and leading it off is and he said it himself, just a legend. It's such a big deal. So I won't wear that point out, but Anderson .Paak as well, such a dope artist. I cannot wait for those first couple of tracks. I'm sure we're going to start off with some energy. But yeah, I had to point that out. All right, guys, so let's start off with Yun, the first track on this album, Indigo.
Turn back the time far to when I was 9.
It's so Nas. It's so fucking Nas. Damn. Wow. And he also fit into, like, this feels so specific because he's on a track with Erykah Badu specifically.
Said, I'ma turn back the time far to when I was 9. 좋은 것과 아닌 것밖에 없던 그때 차라리 그때가 더 인간이었던 듯해 이쪽 저쪽에서 받아.
This whole album is supposed to sort of feel like a diary. He even mentioned Adele. Like, he compared it to Adele, which is so fascinating. You know how Adele's, all of her albums are her ages, 21, 25, 30. Just the way that, which is very diary. It's literally like Adele's whole career, and musically speaking, has been a diary.
I wanna be a human.
Yeah.
Before I do some art, it's be my part. Cause true beauty is a true sadness. Now you can feel my madness. I wanna be
that true beauty is a true sadness line is so I'm so glad we got to that point because of how much time you spent talking about that and how important that line was and how I feel like that line's going to represent so much of this album, like embracing sadness and the beauty that lies within that, how beauty isn't just this one-sided thing and happiness, like both of those emotions have to completely be embraced. And he goes right back into the painter's thing, right, where there's so much embracing and focus on painting and on art specifically in RM's head space, I feel like, when it comes to this album, because talking about how all these different colors create, if you mix a bunch of different colors, eventually you get black. All those colors could be like indigo, for example, and all these other bright colors that you would imagine could be good, happy, whatever the emotion is, but they all are going to equal black, which is also sadness. So like that beauty is also true sadness. And I think he also mentioned there was like a Korean word for it as well that he mentioned, but of course I didn't like understand the word, but he said like it captures a lot of that ideal that he was trying to express.
Beauty is a true sadness. Now you
can feel my madness, his mind. That's so good because of what's going on in his mind.
It's a cruel world, but it's gonna be my part. Cause true beauty is a true sadness. Now you can feel my madness.
Does he repeat that line?
먼저 사람이 되라 예술할 생각 말고 놀아 느껴 희노애락
feel the sorrow, feel the joy. I wonder, because I feel like we're for this song in his youth and where he was super inspired being younger, and I wonder if these are specific references to literature that he spent a lot of time with at a younger age.
I wanna be a human
before I do some art. It's a cruel world.
It's gonna be my part.
That's such a cool hook.
Beauty is a true sadness. Now you can feel my madness. I wanna be a human before I do some art. It's a cruel world, but it's gonna be my part.
Yeah, help me out with this part. I've said this before. I dual set after every single listen, as long as with the newer stuff, as long as it's available. Help me out with what's being said there. I wish there was the translation for it. I would imagine it's got something to do again with the Korean painter that this whole project is heavily inspired by. But yeah, I love that he has that hook after the chorus, and that he made sure that was part of the song, because you could have just let Erykah Badu, linger on at the end of the chorus and let that be a hook of its own. But the song goes to a whole different level when RM comes in, talking about wanting to be a human and the true beauty and the true sadness and the sorrow. It's just beautiful lyricism and really humanizing. Ironically, when I was talking about dehumanization earlier on. All right, guys, let's go to the next track, which is Still Life, and I cannot believe Anderson .Paak is on this album again. Let's do it.
아직도 상 학원 가버렸고 미래는 모르네 두 갈래 길에서 숨고르네 벗어나고 싶어 이 캠퍼스의 틀 어제와 내일이 내게 들인 그날 둥거르네 벗어나고 싶어 이 캠퍼스의 틀
I want to get out of this canvas frame, the shadow cast over me by yesterday and tomorrow. RM, this damn poet that RM is. I want to get out of this canvas frame, and the emphasis on art continues. I feel like this is not going to stop. We're going to get to the end of this album and I'm gonna be talking about his references to art, I feel like, over and over again. But that line right there, the shadow cast over me by yesterday and tomorrow, which kind of encompasses that still life ideal.
어제와 내일이 내게 들인 그날 나 그저 담담하게 live earth time 24/7 yeah baby I'm on time 난 그저 오늘을 살아 일본을 좀마저 같은 처음부터 걸어보시 no me I'm still out just live now go forward yeah 멈추지 않은 정물 또 비워 나의 꽃을 I'm still out but I'm moving just live now go forward yeah 멈추지 않은 정물 yo I never stop baby let's get it now what a perfect song look at your chain me better do it live with your mind stain 오늘을 살아 잡초처럼 야 화초처럼 but I never stay
Live today like a weed, like a plant, but I never stay. Whoa. Like a plant, but I never stay. Living like a plant, still life. I feel like this is something he talked about too with plants, with flowers specifically, but I never stay. Because a flower growing, a plant growing in the ground is rooted where it is. It can't move. He never stays though. Like he's that, but he's also moving. And I feel like with that, he's really, really radiating that still life meaning, which I know is so that still life term is something he got from somewhere and really wanted to play with it and run with it, and I feel like he's doing that with, especially with this line right here.
Oh shit. Hey, Pop, what's up? You doing know what I'm saying? I know what you're saying, bro. Shit happens in life, but you know what happens is what happens. Hey, it's gonna be what's gonna be.
They go so well together. They just gave up. Y'all can lock me in the frame, but I'm still moving even as well as just like that plant line. The plant, you locked and rooted into the ground and the soil, but no, RM's still gonna keep moving. And one other thing he said again about the still life song, I remember he said everything dies but lives on, and I feel like there's such an emphasis on life in this song, especially talking about not staying in place. Something like again, we're back into the art references, because art sticks in place, right? Like a painting is painted and someone lives on through it, but it stays where it is. You just looking at that painting, you're taking it with you because you saw that painting and you took some sort of inspiration from it and you know, went on with that painting in your mind and your heart. Whatever you absorb from that painting, that's something that you're always going to have with you as you move on. So it's not something that just stays there, and that's like a real appreciation of art from RM. And I like that the songs kind of got this na 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 na. It has this movement that makes you also feel like there's movement, like in the lyrics in the song. But yeah, let's go to the next one, guys. I like these sounds so far. Like I feel like between the first two tracks, it's just like a really easy, flowy start. RM's riding these beats, and I feel like we're off to a really promising start here. So let's go to All Day, right? That's track 3. Yes, Tableau. Oh. Yeah, that's filthy. Get lost in the AI, artificial intelligence, the internet. Fuck the algorithm. I need to think. Fuck all the rhythm. My biorhythm gives me no time to think. He's not getting lost literally in all of the sort of nonsense of the internet and the pressure of all that. I don't know myself. These are like real internal struggles here. My biorhythm gives me no time to think. That's just things happening naturally with him. I'm taking all day. Yeah. I'm trying to find the real meme. I'm sending all day. That's 3 tracks down. So much. The vocals? See, that's the cool part about Jack in the Box and here in Indigo, is that we get so much more opportunities to hear vocal moments from these boys, because obviously within the group, you know, the vocal moments are left to the singers. Here, it's just RM. Jack in the Box, just J-Hope. So you get to hear those vocal moments. You guys know when I listen to Jack in the Box, I listen to J-Hope sing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this man can sing. I'd love to hear RM's voice here. It's a nice, pleasant surprise. Yeah, don't get when the cruel world seems to be laughing at you, no matter what the world says, we fly. And the way he sings it also feels sort of like inspirational and healing in that way. And then that also goes in with the not following the algorithm and getting lost in the AI and all that stuff. Like I'm stuck following my own biorhythm. You're kind of stuck in your own head trying to figure out who you are. That I love. This is probably my favorite part of the song, but ironically it slows down here, and I also enjoy the quick movements of it 3 tracks in again, where it's sort of all very dancey.
You gotta believe it, you gotta believe it, you gotta believe it, you gotta be dreaming, you gotta believe it, you gotta be feeling. We know we fly all day.
Really like that last minute. I really like when it just sort of pops into that slowdown and RM starts singing, and then the rest of it is just like the leaving on and the living wordplay, and 3 tracks that just move. That's gonna have really high replay value. Going back into these tracks later on, re-listening to them is gonna have a lot of replay value because there's just a lot of, you know, just even if you're not listening to the lyrics and all that, at least you have like the ability to just sort of knock to it and vibe to it and have a good time to it. But then you get into the lyrics and you're learning a lot about RM and what's going on in his mind. The next track, track 4, is Forgeful, featuring Kim Sawal. I heard him talk about this track too, and I thought it was hilarious about him saying it. You know, forgot the E because I'm forgetful. But then there's also like another word he wanted to use, but it wouldn't have worked, whatever the word was. I just think it's really just clever that he did that without the E.
어제 일을 찾고 잊어요. 난 오늘도 잘 모르는데.
What?
어제 나를 찾고 잊어요. 나 고작 26인데. Yeah, yeah. 왜 기억하질 못하냐 해요. 내 친구들 서운해해요.
Yeah.
미안해 생각이 참 많아요. 내 메모리가 모자라요. 수많은 가시들과 오고야만한 아침과 각자의 방식들로 스스로 마취해가요. Yeah, yeah.
I did not expect this. Also, how does RM make being forgetful sound so gorgeous? You know, I thought it was just gonna be like a funny song, and he's even he's very directly talking about being forgetful, but he's also talking about the consequences that come with that. But it's really beautiful, and I like the whistle part too because you get the honesty. I talked about the authenticity and the honesty in the start of this video, the start of this album. That's what he's all about, I feel like, and that's what this delivery is. That's what this sound is. You just go straight acoustic. And when you follow that with whistles, it just lets you focus in on what he was just talking about and not get distracted by something following it up. This is so honest and like soft. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, is that just him? Are those noises like just him walking? I like to think my own just thoughts and you know, appreciating RM and where he's coming from writing these songs. I would like to think that him walking at the end there is him, because I feel like there's certain things about this that are about forgetting easily that are a good thing, because you like the smell of grass, you get to smell it and it's brand new because you had forgotten what it smelled like before. And if at the end there you're just sort of walking around, you're appreciating the things around you and experiences, because everything is new. Everything's a new experience because you're forgetful, you've forgotten whatever was happening before. And at the end there, we're just living life. We're just living life and experiencing whatever's happening in front of us, and it's brand new. And yeah, maybe I'll forget it again down the line, but I'll keep experiencing. That was really nice. I did not expect that. Those first 3 tracks are like bops, you know. I call them dancey. They're not dance tracks per se. And I like the sort of genre bending that's going on here, because it's not like All Day is, yeah, he's rapping, but he's also singing, and you can't really narrow it down into one genre. And yeah, with those first 3 tracks, you just kind of like want to move and vibe, and then all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, RM. That was really pleasant. But yeah, let's go to Closer with Paul Blanco and Mahalia.
I feel it most of the night time, yeah. Me never on your timeline, yeah. See you always in the limelight, keep me rolling in the day, yeah. Not a taste, no joke, I don't mean it. Don't cease, baby, don't, why you floating? Wanna lock you up on my side, but you run away like fish, yeah. I keep you right next to me, only just in my dream. I see you in right the grind, don't wake me up from sleep.
The color references are really cool, just knowing where he's coming from with his affinity for paintings and the indigo meaning.
I keep you right next to me, only just in my dream.
I like this beat.
Don't wake me up from sleep.
I like how low down it goes there too.
Everything, all the pain, why you showed up in my life like this? You sudden, oh God, no.
I get a feeling sometimes that I can't get close enough to you.
I don't know who Mahalia
is. Most
is.
in the nighttime, even though that's when I'm closest to you.
She has a nice cadence.
Come all out of your front block, baby. Say the time, don't wait for nobody. Oh, I bet you thought, baby.
Oh, this is sick. This is sick.
But the time gon' stop when you and I make our lips lock, baby.
That is cool. I like that. All 3 of them are so different. I like that RM2 went with that. Now that I'm listening to Paul Blanco and Mahalia, I have an even deeper appreciation for the RM using that like lower tone in his part, because it plays off of Paul's really well. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just looking at you. Stay where you are.
Oh, that's really smart. Just ride that out. Stay where you are. I like having Paul doing those riffs back there and the guitar. Oh, this is so good. Man, the way that built too, and then RM closing it out with those "Stay Where You Are," and again the guitar and the relentlessness with his approach. I feel like, especially, that might be my favorite song so far. I don't know. I feel like I'm not just saying this. I feel like each song is better than the last one, which is kind of a good, like, if you're listening to an album in order, you can't really ask for much more than that. Let's go to Change Part 2, which is the shortest song on the album.
Things change, people change, everything change. Yeah. Things change, people change, everything change. Love change, friends change, everyone change. Yeah.
What?
It is no strange. That's the world shape. Yeah, I can't believe I loved you once. Fool me once, then fool me twice. Shame on you, yeah, shame on me. Think I lost my sanity. Chemistry we had for sure. Gradually we wanted more. They say you can't fix someone. Seems you got one fit you right. Fuck my interviews and years ago.
Yo, what is this?
Not that anymore. Fuck that week, fuck all those infos.
This is so fucking sick. This is so sick. Wait, yo, this is my fuck the last song. This is my favorite song. Are you kidding me? What is this?
Fuck my interviews and years ago.
All the change, right? He changes too. That's what he's saying. Fuck all that. I'm changed. I've grown as a person. I'm not who I was years ago. You shouldn't be who you were yesterday. Kind of fuck who I was yesterday as well. Even though he's talking about years ago. And that's I love the fact even more. I keep mentioning that interview. I'm gonna mention it maybe 2 or 3 more times. Mentioning the fact that he doesn't even like a lot of the songs on mono he doesn't feel connected to anymore. It's kind of saying that right there. And no one should feel super connected to who they were years ago. So I love RM bringing that to light. Another thing he said too, he hopes people take away from this album that like learn about him and how he deals with his own life, but that he hopes that he makes us think about our own life. And that's all I'm doing here. Thinking about my youth like he did going back. Thinking about my come up myself as I listen to this. Thinking about how I don't feel connected to who I was years ago. Fuck all that. You should feel as connected to the current version of yourself than any other version of yourself. And that's so I can't believe I loved you once, fool me once. He's talking about himself there, because I think shame on you. I think I lost my sanity. Chemistry we had for sure, gradually wanted more. They say you can't fix someone, seems you got one fit you right. But the instrumentals too, the beat on this is nothing could have prepared me for this.
One fit you right. Fuck my interviews and years ago. I'm all different, not that anymore. Fuck that week, fuck all those infos.
Change that shit.
What is strange?
I don't know this fool. This is like so third person. It's so clever.
Things change, people change, everything change.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Love change, friends change, everyone change.
Yep.
No, it's no strange. That's the world shape.
My God, this is so good.
You gotta admit it.
The way it just slows, there's no real chorus. You could say that things change, people change, everything change, whatever. You could say it's a chorus, but not really, especially because it's the tempo changes so much, and that's in the second part that we just got, and now it's changing completely.
Yeah,
like, what is this?
You gotta admit it. Don't you get it still? Someday the great grief will do come for you. Yeah. And then you're not tall.
It's so
you can't love someone like I do. That's all I can say to you.
The fact that just changed the way it did, I feel like is almost representative of the whole point of the song. Think about how much that song changed at the end. Full stop, we slow down completely, and then we have this chaotic keyboard sound, almost xylophone-like sounds there at the end. And I feel like that in itself represents the whole point of the song. That just did things to me. All right, let's go to Lonely Man. What a unique, there's unique, then there's different. What a unique and different track that is, Change Part 2. All right, let's go to Lonely. Let's somehow, some way get ourselves to...
So fucking lonely. Somebody come back. 잘나는 영화 속에서 담겨졌어. 싫어 이 호텔 룸에 혼자 떴어. 시끄러운 경적 소리 좁아진 방
The way that this album is just it's bending genres. The amount of sounds all over this album is so impressive. RM is a rapper, but I feel like when you're listening to this album, you can't just look at him as that. You have to look at him as so much more. An artist. He's an artist. And that's what this album is showing. I mean, this sound is way different from everything else. But then think about the last song. I don't even know what he said so far because the sound is changing so much.
Now I hate the cities I don't belong. Just wanna go back home. I fucking lonely.
Wait, who hurt this boy? I tried a million times to let you go. So many memories are on the floor. Now I hate the cities I don't belong. Who did he try to let go? Hold on. This is what I meant because the sound of the song messed me up. So I don't know what he was saying. I'm lonely. I'm alone on the island. So fucking lonely. Somebody call me. I would imagine every hotel room probably gives him that feeling. Especially if he's without the boys, without his brothers. Hotel rooms is foreign of places you can be as far as anti-home.
I tried a million times to let you go. So many memories are on the floor. And now I hate the cities I don't belong. Just wanna go back home. I fucking lonely.
It crushes me to picture him. Again, diary. This is all diary. This is all so diary. Think about that last song. I'm still stuck on that. And him just contemplating how he is changing constantly as a person and writing that down in a diary. All throughout this album, that same feeling. And now we're here, and I'm just imagining him writing this stuff down. And that's really heartbreaking for someone I've come to really adore at this point.
Now I'm just on the so fucking lonely. 온종일 유튜브 넷플릭스 그저 또 폰 속 데이터와 데이터 매일 아침과 rendezvous 빨갛게 돌아가는 날 모인 유튜브 넷플릭스 그저 또 폰 속 데이터와 데이터 매일 아침과 rendezvous 빨갛게 돌아가는 날 모인 I shot a million stars to let you know. So many trivial thoughts on the floor.
That lyrical switch, so specific. I really like this song.
I'm fucking
lonely.
Somebody call me.
Someone pick up their phone.
I'm fucking lonely. Now I'm just on me. So fucking lonely.
Somebody love me.
Somebody love me.
I will not be fooled by this happy sounding, this guitar and the instrumental to this song. It all sounds so happy. It all sounds so jovial. Like we're supposed to be having a good time in this song. The melody of the song makes you feel like you're supposed to be having a good time too. This is fucking sad. This is such a sad song. Especially closing it out there like somebody love me. That is true diary-like entries. And that somebody call me line too speaks to the person just like his personality type, right? It's introverted in that way, but even in like a self-detrimental sort of way, because he won't even he's feeling lonely. He's in these places he'd rather not be, these specific buildings, get him the hell out of here. He won't even reach out. He won't even make a call himself. He could unlonely himself, but he doesn't want to make those calls. Somebody reach out to him. Somebody love him, because he's just so in his own head in these situations that he's in here. This is like, well, I don't know if anything can top. I was gonna say that we carry on. The next song is better than the last song thing that's happening with this album so far. For me, on a first listen, things always change for me, like 95% of the time. On second listens, third listens, Like I literally will feel blah about a song, and then second, third listen, I'll be like, oh my god, that's incredible. How did I miss all these things? How did I miss all this meaning? How did I miss these beats, this drop, these lyrics, whatever it is? It's just, you guys know, you could second, third listen, you never feel the same about a song on a second, third listen. Change Part 2, it's hard for me to imagine that song being topped, maybe just in what it did to me. So I can't call Lonely better than it, but it might be my second favorite song on the album after Change Part 2. And then you just start, like, every other one got better than the last one, aside from that. All right, Hectic featuring Cold, track 8. It's like old school, man. His ability to mix these sounds. It's so obvious that he listens to so much music, because you even listen to him talk in interviews, and he'll mention Eminem, Nas, he'll mention a Kendrick, he mentioned Project from the Weeknd and Dawn FM, he mentioned Adele, he mentioned artists I never even heard of. He mentions that he is listening to so much music that it's so obvious when you listen to this album that RM's musical taste and preferences are just all over the place. And when you mix that in with his love and affinity for art, actual painted art itself, and his ability to express lyricism through how he feels about that art and what it does to him internally and externally, I don't think he could have represented himself any better on an entire project than he did with this, with his love for music and art. I am so fascinated by all of this so far. There was nothing romantic. I like that. Horns? Is horns? That's music, man. If I could only imagine, just want another heaven. I like the yesterday was hectic. There was nothing romantic, and then it's like, what am I like in the future? And present him is looking at future and wondering, what am I chasing here? If nothing romantic is happening, what the hell is the point? If I can only imagine just one another heaven, makes me think that he's talking about if he can only imagine just literally another scenario for himself to be in. One that obviously is romantic. And romantic doesn't have to mean literally, like romantic, you could use the term romanticizing things, and it has nothing to do with being in love with somebody or like another person. My love for the Mets is romantic. My love for music is romantic. My love for life is romantic. If I have a day where I read a great book and have like my coffee just is on point, I consider that a romantic day. So I love that there's like, that's open to interpretation, and I feel like it is too with the way he's talking about it. And a hectic day wouldn't involve any romantic feelings. So I also like the combination of those. Put me in a heavenly day, and that is something that I would consider a romantic day. That was nothing romantic. If I can just find, it's so cool the way he slid the horns in there. To keep the sand chaser. Yes, that was a there was nothing romantic. If I could only imagine. 슬픈 밤 서울을 위한 녹턴 우린 알면서 또 하루를 놓쳐 행복이란 뭘까 그토록 바래왔던 작은 평화 마음이 빛바랜 자들을 떠나 마침내 우리가 수놓은 Starry Night we embroidered, we created our own night. Hold your breath. It's the second time he's made a reference like that. Now I want to know, he's talking about where he's from, right? Seoul. I hate saying things wrong. I just hate being, rude. But I feel like there's so many specific references in that song that have to do with specifically his city. But outside of that, just the flow of that song, the horns being brought in, this sort of old school feeling and vibe to it as well. And I like that all these features are offering something so different, and it just makes perfect sense with what he said about being so inspired by all his features as well. Now we're gonna watch a music video. Wildflower music video. I'm just ready. That's it. I'm just ready. An RM solo music video. Yeah, got the he mentioned the Wildflower meaning flower works. Firework, sort of being a play off of flowers and fireworks, and he wanted to call it Flowerworks, he said, but it just didn't make sense, and people wouldn't have understood it right away. So Wildflower is what happened. But we all know, we all listen to him and know what he's going for. It's the fireworks sound. Oh wow. Yeah. Flying. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's so cool when your feet don't touch the ground. That's so cool because I feel like he's almost calling I feel like he's called himself a flower a couple times, and I feel like that's something I get from him in general, especially because a flower is something that it's a commonality in art, in physical painted art, and that's so important on this album. And earlier on in the album, he mentioned he being a plant that isn't rooted in the ground, that can move. I think it was Still Life, if I'm not mistaken. That's so beautiful because we have the song now called Wildflower, where he wanted to talk Flowerworks and combine the two. Fireworks are up in the sky. I think he's that flower, and that's so. And it makes me think about the art aspects of this album. That is real. If you really attempt to understand RM and what he wanted to do with this album, that's fucking beautiful. I think actually, like that actually makes me emotional thinking about that connection potentially in the writing, especially. That's really gorgeous. Oh, damn.
그저 화려하게 지고 싶은 날 시작의 전부터 나 상상했었지. 그때 웃으며 박수 쳐줄 수 있게 나 소원했어. 나 믿었던 게 다 멀어지던 때 이 모든 명예가 이제 멍해가 됐을 때 이 욕심을 제발 걷어가소서. 어떤 일이 있어도 나를 믿었던 게 다 멀어지던 때 줄 수 있게 나 소원했어. 나 믿었던 게 다 멀어지던 때 이 모든 명예가 이제 멍해가 됐을 때 이 욕심을 제발 걷어가소서. 어떤 일이 있어도 나를 나로 하게 하소서.
That's so dark because everything you've accomplished turning you into something you don't want to be. Your fame feels like shackles. Take my desire away from me. Is that his desire to be able to do what he does in his career, no matter what it takes? Doesn't feel like himself. 내 심장 소리에 잠 못 들던 밤 창밖에 걸은 청승마 지초선 달 I don't wish me a lovely night 내 분수보다 비대해질 life 저기 날아오르는 풍선을 애쓰지고 다져 물어 대체 지금 넌 What?
들던 밤
What?
And every night persistent pain and criminal mind 내 심장 소리에 잠 못 들던 밤 창밖에 걸은 청승마 지초선 달 I don't wish me a lovely night 내 분수보다 비대해질 life 저기 날아오르는 풍선을 애쓰지고 다져 물어 대체 지금 너 어디 Where you go? Where'd you show you? Where'd you
Wow. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. That vocalist.
내 마지막일까 전부 진결이 나 하나여기까지다 이 지긋지긋한 가면은 언제 벗겨질까 예민우 히로 민우 빌런 아무것도 아니나 공회전은 반복돼.
He's still trying to figure himself out. You know, he's calling himself no hero, no villain. Everything's so exhausted, A to Z, which is literally everything. When's this wretched mask gonna come off? Me, no hero, no villain. He is literally trying to figure himself out still. I feel like in the earlier verse, he's viewing himself from him. He's inside himself, viewing himself outside of himself. Forgetful again. Trust that I was happy now. Remember when you can't even trust your own thoughts or memories? No matter what's wrong, 그게 뭐가 됐건 새벽의 호자락을 붙잡고 뭔가 토해내는 기억 목소리만 괜찮들의 사회 난 여전히 침묵을 말해 이건 방패과수가 독답해 모두 오해 full-blown face off. 반갑잖아 너 행가래 두 발이 여기 땅 위에 이름도 없는 꽃과 함께 다시 But okay. 반갑잖아 너 행가래 I don't care much for being tossed into the air, grounded on my own 2 feet amongst the flowers without names. Grounded on my own 2 feet amongst the flowers without names. Grounded on my own 2 feet. And back in the beginning of the song, he was up. He didn't have that. He doesn't have that ground. He doesn't have that. He didn't have that grounding. He felt lost, so to speak. And where he feels most unlost is amongst the flowers, which leads into the art part of everything. The flowers and the art that he so much adores and respects, and this album is so much about, and that's where he feels most at home, most like himself. I can't go up the stars again. I can't. Destination without purpose. Not even. He goes up there. Oh wow, that's so pretty. What? But he goes up their destination without a purpose. Even making friends with the shadows, and that's either embracing those embracing being thrown up there as of the flower just being thrown up there, and that's the whole flower work. That's the whole flower being mixed with the firework, being a flower thrown up into the sky like that, making friends with the shadows. So he's almost like embraced that sort of sadness that is unspoken. Well, not unspoken. It's spoken with the shadow line. Okay, what is that's? What? This is so pretty. Gloriously barefoot. I like that there's the purple in the background, because I did hear I mentioned that the fireworks to him are like BTS. So yeah, even in a solo project, he's showing love here. He's showing that love to his bandmates, to ARMY. That's always there behind him. That's always going to be a part of him no matter what. Like, to me, that's what that purple is back there. And who tell me like gotta be a someone 난 절대 그들처럼 될 수 없음에 여태껏 날 지켜온 단 하나의 힘과 철 타는 불꽃에서 들꽃으로 손에 내서 영원으로 나의 광야가 드는 하늘을 언젠가 나 되돌아가래 저 하늘을 흩어질래 Like a flower Damn. See the flowers up in the sky now? Yeah. But he feels the most himself here with all the flowers. That was so beautiful because he had the perfect combination of lyrics, of the visuals, and of that chorus being so... He picked the perfect vocalist. Eugene, unfamiliar, but killed it. Just vocally soaring and matching his energy, because my goodness, did he come through with the energy on this song that needed sort of that lost feel. He sounded lost, sounded like he's trying to find himself. Then it matched with him sort of finding what makes him feel like him, while still keeping the overlying message of I'm still trying to figure myself out. No Name. That was so beautiful. I want to listen to it again, honestly. A couple of the tracks on this, not just a couple, but a few of the tracks on this album have this feeling for me where I just want to go back and listen to them again, which sucks about reaction videos, by the way, because I can't. I got to keep going. I have to. Time is a real thing. All right, let's close it out, guys, with number 2.
이젠 네가 널 지켜줄 거야. 그대 여전은 뒤돌아보지 마. 선명히 뒤섞인 기억 뒤에 이 남은 삶들은 덤처럼 남아. 최선을 넌 다했을 뿐이야.
So I know that he borrowed from the mythology Orpheus for this. Heard him talk about that again in that Zach Sang interview, and it's just about not looking back. And I'm not super familiar with that particular mythology, but I know that he directly borrowed that from here. And this is RM, the poet, of course. Yeah.
그래 넌 그리 특별하지 않아 이제 네 말에 옳지 않아 I smile that I hate gotta prove myself that I hate the one that I hate this shit
yeah.
그저 희정이 고프던 어린 아이 이젠 너 위정이 더 잘 어울릴 말 나도 가득 차 터져버린 나의 풍선 터지고한 건 그 안은 텅 비어있어
Wow, that is on an album with so many hard-hitting lines. That might be my favorite one. A balloon filled with myself, and the line before that helps for the build-up too. A child who is hungry for recognition. Older people that are suited by. After the balloon was filled with myself. It exploded. After it exploded, it was empty. I asked endlessly, can it just flow? Can it just flow? Why do I have to fill it up so much to the point where it just explodes? Just let it flow. Just keep on moving forward in life. Learn as you learn. Go as you go. Take every bit of information that you can, but don't look back. Just keep on moving forward. Let that balloon keep flowing, and every day you flowing in a new way and learning in a new way, and that's been a theme in a few of these songs as well. And RM is just is a poet.
끝없이 물었네 그냥 흘러도 되는 거야 속하고 싶지 않던데 속해도 되는 거야 영원할 것 같은
Don't force it, don't force it.
난 나의 felony 여태껏 배운 건 겨우 한 가지 I'll be forever me 필연이라 믿었던 그 모든 사고 영겁처럼 길었던 그 모든 밤도 최선을 넌 다했을 뿐이야
그대 여전은 뒤돌아 뒤돌아보지 마 그 많은 파도 다 지난 뒤에 무수한 만일이 널 괴롭혀도 이젠 네가 널 지켜
It's such a good melody.
그대여 더는 뒤돌아보지 마
Harmonies.
선명히 뒤섞인 기억들아 이 남은 삶들은 봄처럼 남아 최선을 넌
Done your best.
슬프냐
You've done your best. What's the point of looking back at you know, mistakes you've made and having regrets? You know, it's important to have regrets. It's not even that it's important. It's gonna happen, and if it's important in the way that at least you know that there were things that went the wrong way, and at least you recognize that. But if you spend so much time looking back at it, what is that doing for you? Keep going forward. Keep living in the now. Don't look back. No looking back. No looking back. No looking back. There you go. Say it over and over and over again, because that's the whole point here. Also, let me not forget his vocals harmonizing here, but all over the album, the way he is using his voice is so well done. There's this subtlety to it that I think is adding like a tenderness. He's really tender with his vocal everywhere he applies, not like a rap part, but a vocal part. I think is applied with such tenderness, and it's been so important throughout this whole album.
No looking back, no, no looking back, no, no looking back, don't look back no more. No looking back, no, no looking back. 최선을 다해 숨겨서 no looking back, no, no looking back, no, no looking back. Don't look back no more. No looking back, no, no looking back. 이제 네가 널 지켜줄 거야.
That's how you protect yourself. You protect yourself with, hey, what's up again? That's how we started off. You protect yourself by not looking back. You protect yourself by living in the now, by focusing on the future, by everything he said in that song. Stretch in this album, I want to say, it's easy to say the second half because I just listened to the second half. 4 through 10. Tracks 4 through 10. Forgetful, Closer, Change Part 2, Lonely, Hectic, Wildflower number 2. I feel like we got into a groove. I got into a groove with this album that is almost flawless in those tracks. The way that they're all so wildly different, again, with the genre bending and how I couldn't like call any of these tracks one particular thing. He's rapping in parts, he's singing in parts, but also there's like old school synths, and there's horns all over the album, and there's like 80s sounds. He started off the damn album with like a straight Nas flow with Erykah Badu, like Anderson .Paak is like bending into like RM sound. I love that RM emphasized the painting and art and spoke about the inspiration of this album, because this album feels like the very definition of walking into a museum and just seeing all sorts of, like an art museum specifically, or an art exhibit, any place you would see art, and seeing all sorts of different styles of art, all sorts of different art pieces. That's exactly what this album makes me think of, and it's how it makes me feel. I feel like I am walking down all these different aisles through an art exhibit and seeing different paintings that are making me feel different things, that are making me think about my own life, that are inspiring me in different ways, and that's what all these songs have done. And they have completely different sounds. They could be from completely different eras and different genres, and that speaks to the collaborators that he chose. It speaks to RM and not wanting to pigeonhole himself into any specific thing. And I think I mentioned this earlier on, the replay value of this album is going to be insane because of the different sounds on this album. I'm so insanely, incredibly proud of RM and what he's accomplished with this. And I'm as excited as I could possibly be to re-listen to this album and see what I pick up on because of all the different things going on. And no looking back, only going forward, right? The only thing I want to go forward with is re-listening to this album again, honestly. So thank you guys for spending this time with me. And man, RM should be so proud of himself.